Great. Well, this afternoon we have Adrian Brook of Bowcliffe Wealth Management, who's been kind enough to spend a little bit of time telling us about how he helps his clients, how he's helped them through for the last 10, 20 years, and how he's grown his business through the lockdown situation. So welcome, Adrian. And if you'd like to tell everyone who you are, what you do, and how you help people, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and thanks for the invite today. I do appreciate it. So, well, firstly, Bowcliffe Wealth Management, we're an investment firm that look after predominantly families and small businesses with their investment needs. So I was going to say, you mentioned just in terms of growth. Well, of course, this year's been very different, as you know, to most of the years.
Yeah, and you were saying before we started that you've been recruiting during this period, which is a great sign for a strong and growing business.
Yes, well, actually, being in investments and wealth management, going back to February, it looked very, very different. So at the time, we were thinking, will we need to use the furlough scheme or not? But we did have a business plan in place, as you know, which helped us. And actually, we stuck with the plan. We believed in the plan, and we've managed to expand the team this year, which is something we didn't think would be happening in February.
Brilliant. That's wonderful to hear, and you know, a big part of these interviews are really just spreading good news about how it is quite straightforward to flourish in difficult times. I think, you know, I'm talking to a lot of clients at the moment and saying, if this could be the best time for your business, what would it be like? Because I think there's one of the Chinese dialects, the symbol or the language, the symbol for problem has two parts. One is challenge and the other is opportunity. So it's clearly, for me, seeing the opportunity in the challenge.
You're 100% right there. It's keeping that optimistic entrepreneurial mindset. So seeing the opportunity, not the negativity.
100%. I mean, I'm a big one for quotes, and one of my favourites is Henry Ford. And he said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." And you know, that's how it sums up, isn't it? How do we make this really work? So tell us a little bit about how the COVID outbreak has affected you over the last 8-9 months.
Well, yes, I mean, absolutely. Right at the very beginning of COVID, it was a worrying time, because when you're in wealth management, one of the part of the big picture is the assets that you manage, and when the FTSE is so volatile, when the stock market's globally so volatile. Now, luckily, when you've been in the job for quite a while, you're used to volatility a bit more than clients are. But trying to explain to clients that, you know, we will get out of it, they don't always see it at that time. So at that time, it was a case of where some firms did furlough staff, we thought, actually, this is the opposite thing we need to be doing. We need to be working harder than ever, actually, just to contact every single client, not really put an arm around them, not on Zoom, but you know, the very first wave of lockdown, it was a case of, as soon as the government advice was, if you can work from home, well, look, we're an industry where we can work from home, thankfully. So the first thing we did was all the members of staff, every single one, made sure they were all set up at home straight away. So before it was even mandatory, we just did that. And actually, it's worked out quite well as that. We made sure we contacted every single client to just make sure that they were okay. Not a case of this is your portfolio, anything like that. It was just, how are you? And usually the response we got was, how are you? Which was quite nice. But I think it's built the relationship stronger, and we've managed to perform throughout lockdown by adapting to change, which is technology. This meeting we're having today, we couldn't have had last year, because we didn't know how any of this worked.
Yeah, totally agree. We're the same. We fully mirroring that. We just did very similar. We went out and made sure all our clients are okay. Just as you say, just a person-to-person basis. It's like the business side, we will do our best to help, but just how are things going, and you know, just help as many people as we can, because it is a great sign of who we are as a community, that we come together and just try and help each other at any different level, I think, which is wonderful. So what would you say the biggest challenges you've had to overcome would be?
The biggest challenge I would say that we've had is the biggest challenges never go away. So it's just for our industry, it's just the same. So things like dealing with change within the regulations and things like that. Dealing with more elderly clients,
Yes.
because I mentioned technology being a huge advantage.
Yes.
I mean, I have had a Zoom call with a 93-year-old, but it's more rare. So we've had to adapt again. So we're having a Zoom meeting. If this was a pension meeting, we could do this on Zoom, but there might be a document for you to sign. We're still in lockdown. So we've actually employed a driver to actually go and take documents to clients and just actually offer an extra service. But actually, we were doing this in the first start of lockdown 1.0, if that's what it's called.
Yeah.
We were offering our elderly clients a shopping service. So Paul would go out, pick up the shopping for them, leave it with them. And because we had a lot of vulnerable clients, and we just 3 weeks ago we lost quite a young client to COVID. So although some people think it's not so bad, we do take it seriously.
That's amazing. Sorry, I didn't. That's wonderful. So I
don't know anyone else doing that, but it's gone down quite well with the elderly clients. A lot of them do want to go out and do their own shopping, but some of them do have underlying issues and things like that.
Just brilliant. Well done. I mean, that's wonderful. I just think that's so good that you've decided to help, as you say, in a different way. That's got very little to do with, nothing to do with doing, providing your service, but it's everything to do with the relationship and the client service.
I mean, I would say that's the difference. The only one, I'd say that's the big one thing that probably differentiates us to other firms. I would put it down to, I'd say our niche is probably the servicing of clients. Whether in the past, last year, it would have been putting on events for clients. We do 12 or 13 a year. This year, we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We're doing a Zoom cheese and wine tasting coming up, but there's very little, you're a bit struggling.
Oh, I hope that goes well. I by coincidence, one of our clients has actually taken that online with the guys that Love Cheese in York, do a regular one, and have grown a business around taking cheese and wine tastings online. That's wonderful.
It's a great idea. That's great. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. So again, Paul is going to be the one that's driving out, dropping the cheese and wine off at the clients, and we'll see how that goes.
Wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic. So you're not, I would suggest you're out of the ordinary with regard to financial advice and wealth management. I can't imagine many people doing the same thing.
No, I mean, I think it's just having a bit of fun with it as well, isn't it? So it's absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. So, I mean, that's a wonderful thing that you've overcome and you've helped people. So, what wins would you say you've seen over the last, over this last period, last 12 months?
Well, certainly, if there's firms out there which are definitely furloughing their staff, and we're not doing that, and we're looking to expand, then I think just obviously market share, because if you're not servicing your clients in a good way, then someone else will do that. Technology, this is not going away. So as much as I like driving down to Swansea to see clients, then I think the future will be more Zoom or Teams. So technology will play a big role. And prior to lockdown, I was spending just about every day in the office, and now going forward, that's just not going to happen. I will be in the office maybe 2 days a week. But it's being more efficient. I mean, just driving to the office and back, it's 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back.
Yeah.
This will make us all more efficient, I think. This meeting today, we would have had to, I mean, it'd be nice to meet you, for a coffee, of course, wouldn't it? But
definitely. But it's definitely Bowcliffe Hall as well, because I do like it.
Exactly.
But no, I completely agree. And what's really fascinating actually is when what you've described is you, like us. I think we're quite similar in that We believe community is really important. It's not important to deliver our service, but it's important to build a community of people that get what we do, like what we do. Potentially, it's great for referrals. But what we found, and it may be similar to you, is that delivering transactionally our service is done probably as easily and certainly more efficiently online. We can coach, you can advise, but what we must replace or make sure we do as well as that is continue the community part of what we do. But for me, that means we can actually focus that on being purely social rather than we often get people together and give them presentations of what we do and then have some social things. Well, we can now divide the two, and the social thing is purely social. We just get to know people and enjoy their company, which is great.
I think you're right. I mean, you can hit a big market online at all times of the day. So whereas otherwise you would have to, it'd be in the diary, but you would have to drive to a meeting point to have that meeting.
Yep.
But as I said earlier, I think the dark times of lockdown, having the business plan, having the coach to be with you, as you know, I think is so important, because there were times when, look, the firms out there that we both know that don't even have a business plan. They start January, yes, and they don't actually have a plan, which I still can't quite get my head around now. Yeah. Although having said that, a long time ago, I didn't have a plan either, but I certainly do now. And one thing is that the plan, I think the plan needs to be adaptable. It needs to be achievable. But there was a time this year when I was asked the question, should we deviate from the plan? Should we change it because of COVID, because of how things are going with the markets? And I said, no, look, a 3-year plan, a 10-year plan is a 10-year plan in my eyes. That's not going to change. All the other things can change, but I'm getting a year older. Everything else is moving on. We've just got to stick with it. Really? And it looks now that come December, we will be just about bang on with all our matrix as to where we wanted to be.
Brilliant.
So, which I think is good, bearing in mind, if you can survive like that during COVID, then it's good. But you couldn't do it on your own.
100%, absolutely. You're still on target despite COVID. I think that's wonderful. Just fantastic. So, and I can see that, as you say, having that clarity on where we need to get to. I mean, you're right. It's so common that people don't have business plans, and if you don't, the challenge I find is if you don't know where you're going, it means we don't have a structure with which to make a decision. Because if you don't know what the goal is, then how do you know the decision you're making is taking you to that goal? So
you're absolutely right, because the way I see it is, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I think we're quite fortunate that we work in this industry so that we can still operate online, just as you can. But what I think is, how would I, if I was on my own in a practice, in a business, but my business was, say, recruiting salespeople, how would I be able to manage that without some guidance? Or without someone putting an arm around me to say, oh, look at you, have you thought about this? Instead of recruiting salespeople, what about, I don't know, Amazon drivers or NHS staff? But, someone to help you and support you just when times get hard.
It always makes, I always sort of chuckle a bit in that most people spend more time working out how to lay out their garden than they do how to lay out their business. It's because most of us, to be fair though, most of us go into business because we're good at what we do, but we're not always trained. So we're often well trained in what we do, but we're not necessarily well trained in how to run a business, because that's up until relatively recently. It's business education hasn't been available in schools and colleges, so it's not surprising we've got lots of people out there that don't have the skills yet and haven't attained them. So no, but yeah, it's wonderful.
We say the same with protection. Everyone protects the firm and their assets. They don't usually protect themselves.
Yeah,
only when things go wrong.
Totally agree. It's an illogic. It's just a logical situation, isn't it? It's why you would do that, I don't know, but I guess some people do. So, interesting enough, I think you probably touched on this quite a lot, but what adjustments have you made that you'll keep doing?
The number one is we will stick with technology. I mean, for sure, technology cannot replace the interaction face to face.
Yes.
But it can certainly complement. So where we abide by one face-to-face meeting per annum, that's kind of our minimum service level. There are quite often times when clients still need other things that can be done. That can definitely be done online. For the first time, really, we've been running these sort of Zoom Teams meetings online versus face-to-face. But we've got clients all over the world now that have we haven't picked them up all over the world. They've decided to leave us and go to the countries, as far away as Australia. That's how much they like us.
Fantastic.
No, I mean, they've gone, they can't get any further than that away from us. But now we can see them because they've got up with technology as well. So I think that's the technology for us. It's groundbreaking. This for other people, they've probably been doing it for years. These video calls. So that's the big one. I think signing up meetings online for those clients further afield, and then having the ability to for our driver Paul to go and sign them up. So we've had meetings where we've been on Zoom signing up, and he's arrived, doorbell going as we're just completing it all.
Oh, I love it.
That's good, and it just sometimes you've got tight deadlines, so that helps with that. And then just the cheese and wine. So we do a lot of events normally, like golf events, things like that. We do all sorts of events where clients get together. As I said, I think last year 12. I mean, AGM, things like that. Everything's gone. But when you're doing these events, it's sometimes very difficult when you've got clients further afield, say London. Yes. But if you can do online events, as you mentioned, the York cheese and things like that, then actually you can do events for more people. So they're just some of the ideas that we will continue with in the future, but I'm sure there's others that I've missed.
Absolutely wonderful. And I just think that's just great. I'm making a mental note that a company, have a company driver. And I just love the idea. So 100% think it's brilliant. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite like, unfortunately, having a driver for myself. That'd be quite nice. But everyone else got one now, but me.
That's the idea I prefer, actually. I think that's the
yeah, but prior to lockdown, what he was doing was he would drive out to, say, the other side of York, pick up an elderly client that's not really comfortable with driving anymore, come to the office, have some lunch, then go back again. But it's actually very efficient as well, because I'm not then driving to, say, Easing Ward or wherever.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And now, and using that then to build up relationship with clients and help, as you said, help elderly clients through lockdown and getting supplies and stuff is just super. So looking at what you've changed a lot and you've adapted a lot. What if you go back to March? What might you have done sooner?
Going back to March, would have probably absolutely changed the investments for clients if we could have had a crystal ball. We'd have just a little bit more protection. But having said that, our assets are up this year, which is phenomenal. We're seeing, I had a meeting with a client today online, the pension portfolio is up this year, which is, we've got some funds that are up over 10% this year, which is remarkable.
Amazing.
But in terms of what we would have changed, seriously, I don't. There isn't a lot. I mean, I think we were just a little bit fortunate. We were already using Teams just before lockdown. We just switched everything to Teams, so it meant all our phone lines were online. So we were a little bit lucky there. So when all staff started working from home, that was quite fortunate. If it had been fixed lines, that could have been a bit awkward. But that's actually one thing I've missed that you asked me earlier. You said one of the other things that may change going forward. I would say it's the working patterns for our employees, our staff.
Yes.
So we had a little survey with staff recently and just basically said to them, look, as we come out of lockdown, okay, we're back in it now, but as we come out of lockdown, given the opportunity, would you like to work in the office or would you like to work from home?
Yeah.
Because we've got trust in, I've got trust in them as a team. We've got trust in each other, and they're very accountable. And what they actually said was, it was a bit 50-50. So it was like they missed the office for the I suppose the bounce around the office and the contact, and that they like also the opportunity to work from home as well and have that opportunity. So I think going forward, the working pattern will be driven more by the staff than us.
Great.
Giving them that option.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's if people like Netflix now as an organisation who don't, there are no statutory holidays. You choose how many, when you take holidays, and they've got total trust in their teams that they will do what's right for the organisation and their careers. And interestingly enough, rightly or wrongly, it's ended up with actually people taking less holiday. I'm not, I think they're trying to adjust it to make sure they encourage people to.
Netflix, they're very smart. They've probably done it during lockdown, so no one can go anywhere.
Well, they're probably pretty busy as well, I would imagine.
can't argue with Netflix. My only concern with Netflix is they have exhausted it since lockdown 1.
Absolutely. I would imagine the box set department has been pretty busy.
Absolutely.
Didn't even many holidays there. I must add that to a question, actually. What's your favourite box set? So just interesting. Has anything changed with the announcement of the second lockdown? What's been your reaction to that announcement?
We actually, I suppose, it's a really good question, because I've been speaking to a lot of clients that run businesses and what they've been doing. But with us, I guess we were quite comfortable with just how things came out of the first lockdown, with how we performed and managed to service our clients. So we actually never went back to any new norm or anything. So we never went back to the old norm. We just continued as we were, which is, we've got the office at Bowcliffe, we've got staff on a rota going in to check posts and things like that, and scanning things on. But generally speaking, everybody is working from home still, and we just haven't changed. And I think the only negativity with that is from a personal point of view. I think if you're in the previous world, you would drive, go to meetings, you'd have a bit of time to yourself. Now it's just literally, you've got to remind yourself to get up off the chair, and just take some time out, because if you're not careful, it's just Zoom, Teams. And I think for mental well-being, that needs to be checked.
Completely agree. I found that myself, as well as other members of my team. There were a couple of, I can think of 3 occasions where I pretty much hit a wall, because I'd literally, when I look back, it'd been pretty much 8, 9, 10 hours absolutely solid. Whereas like you, I actually, with some of my clients, I even though I don't have to, I chose to continue to go to see them, because they actually live in nice places and I get nice drives to see them. But that just active driving is pleasant. So it's
and a nice coffee when you get there.
And a nice coffee, absolutely, yes. That's the one staple, is that the coffee's good. So let's go forward. Let's get some good. So when this is all done and dusted, and we're out of all this, what are you most looking forward to? Both, whether it's professionally or personally, about getting back to something like a new normal.
That's a good question. The thought of getting back to some sort of normality. It's because as good as it is having a Teams meeting with staff and so on, it's still, there's no substitute for being there together. And
yes.
The client situation, the client events. I mean, the reason we do so many events, we started with one about 10 years ago and built it up, so 12 or 13 a year. The reason we do them is twofold. One, first of all, the clients really appreciate them, and it allows clients to mingle with each other. And secondly, we enjoy it. So it's the only way that I can really, or as a team, we can, like Christmas party, even just like a Christmas party. We do a simple Christmas party, not anything elaborate, but the village hall, just up from the office. I think the reason for that was it was only £50 when we started doing it. It's doubled now. It's atrocious. It's £100. But we'll get all our clients together to this hall with no agenda, and we'll just chat, drink, and eat.
Right.
And which is very different to certain other events like the AGM, where we'll have more of a format. But it's just being with clients, and if you can get them all together, I mean, right now, lockdown 2 golf bans. We managed to before lockdown 2 managed a small golf event at Oster Golf Club. So we got clients together, and you just couldn't have made it up. It was altered after 9 holes because of lightning and thunder.
Oh.
On the day there was snow, hailstone, lightning. We were trying to keep everyone away because of COVID restrictions. So 4 people at a table max. We staggered it so everyone would come in at different times. Lightning, everyone's got to come in at once. Lightning struck the clubhouse.
Oh my goodness!
Everything's in darkness, but still the clients liked it. They just liked just being out and doing something. And now that everybody's just thinking the weather's bad and everything else, and it's just trying to cheer people up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Again, wonderful. And that I've no doubt is a big part of your success, is focusing on that social side of what you do with your clients and doing more than just the management, which is what you're there to do, but it's the extras that make a difference, doesn't it, for sure?
It definitely is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So what have you learned about yourself over the last 8 months?
In the last 8 months, one thing I know is I've worked harder in the last 8 months, and it's I think I've just been thrown into that because it's harder and smarter, really, because with the Zoom and efficiency. Normally, I've had meetings where I actually in the past would have thought I have to be there in person. And in some cases, it's 2.5 hours drive away. But what that's meant is I haven't been in the car for 2.5 hours. Now, if I was in the car for 2.5 hours, I wouldn't really call that working, really. Whereas now, with that still time, it's another Zoom meeting.
Yep.
So and normally, if I'm in the office, I would be, if you're a colleague of mine, we might have a chat about football now and again or something like that. None of that. Not with my wife. When you're working here, so I've learned that I'd rather be around people than on my own.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And I've learned that I can work more efficiently than I have in the past. Great.
I think that's a learning for many of us. It is how much more you can do, and weighing up the value that may exist in the physical, seeing somebody compared to the inefficiency of one of us having to, or both of us having to drive somewhere. It's
and I don't want to get across. I don't want it to come across that it's just all work.
No, you don't.
Because it isn't quite like that. And 100% for sure, when the sun was shining and we were allowed, working from home gave me that opportunity to go to the driving range, have a golf lesson, get on the golf course. So I've actually played more golf this year than the previous 4 years put together.
So that's fascinating. So you've worked harder and you played more golf. So that's a win. That's a big win, isn't it, for anybody?
Yes, and the only other thing I've done is taken on a personal trainer, so twice a week. But none of that was happening before because I didn't think I had time. Because driving to the office, driving back, you get home and you're tired, and it's created a bit more time working from home. I imagine you've discovered that as well.
I've seen this. Yeah, I found that myself as well. We work more efficiency. There's more time available, less time in the car, as you say. All of that time. When I started to realise how much time that was and how more effective I could be, and as I said, taking up similar to yourself is I can I'm going to focus on transactionally working with a client online but then having events and having time to socialize and make it just social. So it's not, some work and a bit of a chat. It's work online, and then it's a proper, nothing to do with work. Let's just go and have a coffee, get a game of golf, or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
And let's interact socially rather than almost pay lip service to it as part of doing our work. And I think that is going to engages people way more.
You're absolutely right, because if not, it becomes too stressful. It's just 24/7, isn't it? You need some downtime.
I think we all do. So, if there are any, and I didn't feel like there would be any, but what challenges might you face moving forward as you grow when we get to the other side of this challenge?
I think going forward, it's just the challenges are just the same as I would have thought most of the businesses, which is being able to adapt to change in the future. So this one's been brought on because of COVID, but I'm sure there'll be lots of other things in the future. So it's just being able to adapt, and I think just being able to motivate staff as well, because and now I think is most critical, because it's fine to say everyone's working happily from home, but again, the staff wise, we have engagement with staff. So to begin with, at the start of lockdown, we had Fizz Friday. So every Friday, 4 o'clock, all staff would come on, have a gin and tonic or something. We didn't force them to drink, but if they wanted.
Yep.
And then you realised after a while, people got bored of Fizz Friday every Friday. So it became Thursday every 2 weeks. And now we're doing quizzes and things. You've heard about all this, I know. But you've just got to change it a bit, because people get bored of the same. But everybody's different, and some will work at home fine, and some will get that little bit more depressed and feel they've got to go into the office.
Yes, it's funny. It's funny that the human condition craves both stability and change. A bit of both, if that makes sense. It's like it's we don't. Although some of us tend more to stability or tend more to consistent change, with the absence of one of those things, no one is happy. So it's having, as you said, an element of when things are changing a lot, we like a bit of stability, but when things are stable, we also like. So it's good to have change.
And I think I'm one of those more entrepreneurial that likes the change. So I know there's certain individuals in our team organisation that just would like everything to be the same every year, as you said, and are frightened about change. But one of the big questions I think needs to be asked every year is, how can we change to improve, as opposed to just being stuck in the same way? So not falling behind.
No, good. I did bang on that consistent review. How can we get better? What's happening? Because if we're not open to, the world is changing. So clearly we've got to be changing with it. We can't stay the same. That's why, certain businesses aren't here anymore. The Woolworths, the MFIs of this world, they didn't change to meet the new needs, and we have to. And
that's I think what I was alluding to earlier, Chris, when I mentioned just the importance of a coach, because if you're just having your team meetings over and over again, then actually, who is there within your practice to tell you a different way? A lot of personnel in the practice don't like talking up anyway, because they're scared of rejection or a bad idea. But if you've got fresh eyes coming in that see lots of different industries, then something that's working for a manufacturing company might work really well for us, or you don't know, do you, unless someone tells you a different way.
No, absolutely right. There's a great story, I won't go into today, but in the book The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, just talking about always doing things the same way, and ultimately people do it and they can't even remember why. It literally, that's what we've always done. And so, being conscious about analysing what we do and why we do it is really quite key. Cool. So just in sort of a final, sort of to wrap things up, what's the future look like for yourself and for Bowcliffe Wealth Management?
Well, I think the future for Bowcliffe Wealth Management and for ourselves and our clients, I think, is exciting. is the word I would use, because where we've come in the last couple of years, I think just is a springboard for basically our 10-year vision. And if we get halfway towards our 10-year vision in 10 years, then we'd be really happy. But it's an exciting, vibrant company to be part of.
I can honestly tell that just from these few minutes we've been chatting. So thank you so much, and it would be a pleasure if you'd like to, because I'd like to maybe repeat this in 6, 9, 12 months and just see how you're getting on with the plan, because it'd be fascinating to see where you are then and how how you have changed again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime, just be good to keep in touch. Yeah,
wonderful. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for spending time today. And there's some really fascinating ideas and learnings, I think, for people that will listen to this video call. And I've no doubt that your business is going to go from strength to strength.
I've enjoyed it. So thanks for the invite. Really appreciate it, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Brilliant. Thank you.